Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching European Delivery Made Easy in 129 steps. This is episode 5, and I am Philippe Kahn. I was dreaming when I wrote this, so sue me if I go too fast. I was going to spend today, folks, talking about the Autobahn. And for many of you who are taking your European delivery adventure, this driving on the Autobahn will be one of the highlights of your trip. So I wanted to take today to talk a little bit about the history, a little bit about the rules of the road, the conventions of using the Autobahns, so that you can enjoy your trip more thoroughly and know exactly why these Autobahns are as important and are such a source of pride for the German people. First, the history. Konrad Adenauer opened the first Autobahn in 1932, and it connected Cologne and Bonn. Back then, it wasn't even actually called an Autobahn. It was, at the time, called a Kraftfahrstraße. There is a rumor out there that the Autobahns were actually constructed by the Nazi Party and by Hitler. I want to dispel that right here and right now. Yes, the National Socialist Party did press forward with the construction of the Autobahns. It was a great way to create jobs and to reduce unemployment. But the concept and construction of the Autobahns was in place already, well before the National Socialist Party came into power. Back then, the Autobahns were the first limited access high-speed road network in the world. Today, it is the third largest system of its type, third only to the interstate highway system of the United States and the national trunk highway system of China. All of the Autobahns are labeled numerically, and they are all preceded by the capital letter A, for example, the A8. Shorter Autobahns of regional importance will have two digits, like the A24, which connects Berlin and Hamburg. And finally, there are very short Autobahns. Those will have 3 digits, such as the A555, which will connect Cologne and Bonn. In general, even-numbered Autobahns will run east-west. Odd-numbered Autobahns will run north-south. And the Germans are very well organized by this. Just by the number of the Autobahn you're on, you'll know roughly where you are in Germany. For example, if the Autobahn you're on starts with a 2, you're in the north. If it starts with an 8 or a 9, you're in the southern part of Germany. And this is in stark contrast to the Autobahns of Switzerland and Austria, which are a lot less well organized, at least numerically. It's a little more confusing, the numbering system that the Swiss and Austrians use. Just a word on the construction of the Autobahns. And if I have to use a single word to describe it, it would have to be incredible. Whenever you're driving on these roads, know that you are on 12 to 18 inches of actual road surface, and beneath that you will have 1 to 2 meters of prepared roadbed, which means that at any given time you're traveling on about 8 feet of prepared surface. Contrast that to the U.S. Even in the Northeast, where you'll have roads which are subject to frost heave and all kinds of environmental factors, the entire road surface and road bed, probably 5 feet at the most. If you're driving out here in the West on a desert road, it might be as little as a foot of road that you're riding on. So really, the Autobahns constructed to a much higher degree, and that's why they are ready for the higher speeds and more extreme conditions that German drivers and you will put it through. Some words on the rules of the road, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to start this by saying that know first and foremost that you are marked when you're in Germany. That plate that you have on your BMW might look like just a normal European plate, but believe me, any European can know just by looking that you're a tourist, that you're one of those silly Americans on holiday. And no offense there, pretty soon I'm going to be one of those silly Americans on holiday, but just understand that you are conspicuously marked while you're in Europe just by the virtue of that license plate that your BMW is wearing. Moving on to speed limits, folks. No, there are no hard speed limits on the Autobahns, but there is what Germans called Richtgeschwindigkeit, which is an advisory speed limit, and that advisory speed limit is 130 kilometers an hour. Above those speeds, you enter a realm known as erhöhte Betriebsgefahr, which means increased operating danger. Why that's important is because if you are in an accident above 130 miles an hour, above the Richtgeschwindigkeit, and you're in the realm of erhöhte Betriebsgefahr, then you may be found negligent, you may be cited, and furthermore, insurance may or may not apply if you're found to be negligent or reckless. Perhaps the most important thing I want to impress upon you today, folks, and if there's one thing you take out of this show, what it is Rechtsfahrgebot. And what that means is the left lane is for passing only and the right lane is to be used whenever possible. Please, whatever you do while in Germany, do not pass anyone on the right. There's no telling what an angry German might do to you. If you're in the left lane, however, you'd best be leading the pack and you'd best be in triple-digit speed territory. And if you see a Porsche coming up behind you that happens to flash its lights, that's not a request. That is not an invitation. That is an immediate demand to move over and make way for faster traffic. Now, the only time these rules do not apply is, of course, when there's traffic. That's the one thing, folks. Stay on the right, and if you're on the left, you'd better be booking. There are some frequent rest stops on the Autobahns, known as Raststätte. There are motels and restaurants there which you can check out, and believe it or not, an interesting cultural note here, they serve alcoholic beverages and beer at these rest stops. Interesting place for a beer, for a pub in the middle of a high-speed autoway. Basically, folks, if there's one thing that I want to leave you with today, be considerate and drive within your limits when you're over there. Remember, you're just visiting, so do your best to be a polite guest. This has been episode 5 of European Delivery Made Easy, folks. I'm Philippe Kahn. We shall see you next time.